Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is János Daszkál from Hungary. I'm the Digital Europe Program National Contact Point, shortly the DEP4ALL here in Hungary. First of all, Eleni, could you please turn your presentation into presentation mode so that we can see it on the full screen? And then, oh, thank you very much. It's perfect. So as you probably know, that this training session is a part of a series of training sessions. This is the so-called DEP4ALL project we are working in. And this training is about the deep dive into a specific objective of Digital Europe program. And this specific objective is about AI, data, and cloud. So today we have a very interesting agenda. And since there are calls open regarding this topic, I think this makes this today's training even more interesting. So first of all, let me share a couple of practical info with you. Eleni, if you could scroll to the housekeeping rules slide, please. That's the next one. So some practical info before we jump into the technical things. So the training is recorded, as you probably heard when you joined the session. And it's very important, not just, let's say, from legal point of view, but from practical point of view. So all the recordings and all the presentations will be published and will be shared with you. So if you are afraid that you will lose something, please don't be afraid. You won't lose anything. There's no need to, let's say, to take screenshots or to take notes or everything. We will share everything with you. As you probably experienced, sorry, we kept your mic muted as a default. I don't know exactly the number of participants now, but more than 200 were registered. So to avoid the background noise, we keep your mic muted as a default. If you have something very urgent or very important to say, please raise your hands. We will monitor everything, and we will give the word, of course, if it's important. Should you have any questions, please send them to the chat, and we will monitor the chat as well. We will try our best to answer them as soon as possible, but as a default, we will collect all the questions and send a follow-up letter to all of you by the end of this week, hopefully. And this follow-up will contain everything which is required. So it will contain, as promised, all the presentation, the recording, the links to the recordings, and collected questions and answers. So if we have some time, then we will probably cherry pick some questions what we get and try to answer them in live. But if they remain unanswered, don't worry about it. We will send it in the follow-up letter. Should you have any more specific questions or in-depth specific information regarding especially about the calls, then don't hesitate to contact your DEP national contact points in your country. So we are at your disposal. So the reason we work is to help you. So please get in contact with the DEP and CPs. Today we have three presenters, three speakers. Eleni, who will start from Greece. She's the national contact point of the Digital Europe program in Greece. We'll talk about the policy background and strategic background of the program, which is very important, and this specific objective, because calls for proposals are not out of nowhere. The strategic background is very, very important behind it. And then David, our colleague in the Czech Republic, will talk about the most important parts of the work program of Digital Europe and the related IT terminology, because sometimes it seems a bit frightening that this Digital Europe program is a quite IT-related and IT-heavy program, but the important IT parts can be explained hopefully in a simple way. And finally, as I mentioned, there are open calls, which are very important to know about. So this is why our colleague from Luxembourg, Leonardo Tonetto, is here as well, and he will deep dive and introduce these calls to you quite detailed way. So thank you very much. This was the, let's say, the general introduction. And now I hand it over to Eleni to start with the strategy and policy background. So Eleni, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janos. My name is Eleni Chaniotaki. I am NCP coordinator from Greece for Digital Europe program, and today I will present the main strategies and policies for the specific objective 2 of Digital Europe program. So I will start with some facts and figures of regarding SO2. First of all, the implementing authorities, the European Commission, the available budget of SO2 in the current work program is approximately 700 million euros. The main objectives of SO2 in the current work program is to continue are the following. First of all, to continue activities in cloud-to-edge infrastructures and services, to deploy sectoral data spaces, to the uptake of generative AI in the health sector, or also to develop virtual wards test beds, and the completion of destination Earth's main components, and the continuation of European digital innovation hubs. So the first strategy that I will present is European data strategy, which is about the creation of a common European data space, which will function as a single market for data across Europe, so that data will be able to flow within the EU and across different sectors freely, and high quality data will be available for use in order to create apps and innovate. Also, it's one of the objectives of the European data strategy is that European rules and values are fully respected, and for that reason, it sets specific rules for access and use of data, which are fair, practical, and clear. And it also sets some data governance mechanisms for member states to use. So the common European data spaces that are included in the European data strategy mostly refer to health, industrial and manufacturing, agriculture, finance, mobility, the Green Deal, energy and public administration and skills. These are the main sectors of common European data spaces. These are a very rich pool of data with varying degree of accessibility for different actors. They facilitate free flow of data across sectors and countries with full respect of GDPR. And it sets, that the European data strategy sets an horizontal framework for data governance and access. It also provides technical tools for data pooling and sharing, standards and interoperability, technical and semantics, sectoral data governance tools, such as contracts, licenses, access rights, usage rights, and IT capacity, such as cloud storage, processing, and services. So in order for data spaces to work and operate, the Data Governance Act was set in place, which is a regulatory framework which facilitates the reuse and sharing of data across sectors and member states, and introduces different mechanisms to encourage voluntary data sharing by individuals and businesses while ensuring strong protections for privacy and security. So it actually supports the setup and development of common European data spaces that were mentioned earlier. The Data Governance Act has 5 main pillars, which are the reuse of public sector data, data intermediation services, data altruism, European Data Innovation Council, and international data flows. So third, I would like to present the European Data Act, which is not in use yet. It will begin to be phased in September 2025. Its main objective is to enable better access and improve conditions for data sharing across different economic actors. It's expected to lead to better access of Internet of Things data and fairness in B2B contractual relationships over data. And its main objectives is to harmonize rules on access to and use of Internet of Things data by providing a comprehensive sets of rules and framework for data sharing. So its main points are granting users to the right to switch providers easily with secure data transfer, setting interoperability standards to boost competition and prevent vendor lock-in, ensuring fair data sharing between businesses, consumers, and public bodies, enhancing user control over data access and portability, and promoting innovation by making data accessible to more stakeholders. Next, I would like to ask a quiz question to you, which is what do you believe are high value data sets? And you have 3 answers: data sets that are expensive to acquire, data sets that have significant commercial potential and are key data sources for AI development, and data sets that can be the object of financial exploitation.
Okay, we wait a couple of seconds and then block the answers.
Okay.
Okay. So now it's blocked.
Okay, so we move on to, can I close this? I'm going to close this, okay?
Yeah. Okay, what we can say is that almost everyone, above 90%, knew that number 2 was the correct answer. So thank you very much for it.
Okay, so the correct answer is that the high value data sets are data with a significant commercial potential that are also key data sources for AI development. There is, for that reason, there is the Implementing Act on High Value Datasets, which has as its main objective to make these datasets available for use and innovation by lowering barriers to entry for data-driven markets. The key requirements for this to happen is their publication in machine-readable format, their accessibility through APIs and bulk downloads. They should also be accompanied by metadata And where available, they should use union or internationally recognized vocabularies and taxonomies. So the high-value data sets are mostly in the areas of mobility statistics, Earth observation and environment, meteorological, geospatial, and companies and company ownership, and they need to obey certain rules like the ones that some requirements like the ones I mentioned before. So they foster public services and public administration. They can be reused. They can value the society. They can help with climate change and environment research, economic research, and innovation and AI. Next, I will present the AI Act, which is a wider package of policy measures which will support the development of trustworthy AI. So its main idea is it's like a set of risk-based rules for AI developers regarding specific uses of AI. We can see in the image on the left that AI applications and systems are like a pyramid. In the bottom, we see most of systems are minimal risk, and as we climb upwards, the risk increases. So most AI systems have limited risks. But what happens when a system is developed with high risks? So the AI Act comes to ensure that everything will operate smoothly. So it has four steps for the handling of unacceptable risks or high risk systems. For example, it has to undergo the conformity assessment and comply with AI requirements. Also, it has to be registered in a EU database. There needs to be a declaration of conformity conformity needs to be signed, and the AI system should bear the ECE marking. And if something changes, then we go to step 2. We go back to step 2, and we need to repeat the conformity assessment and etc. So we move to step 3 and 4 again. Last, I will present the AI innovation package, which is also an umbrella of measures that support European startups and SMEs in development of trustworthy AI that respects EU values and rules. So first of all, AI startup and innovation communication, like, for example, financial support through EU funding mechanisms. There will be an EU generative AI talent pool. Investments must be encouraged in AI startups and scale-ups through venture capital and equity support, and common European data spaces will be developed and deployed to help AI systems. Also, one of the measures is the creation of an AI office that will support the development and use of trustworthy AI. Gen AI for EU, which will develop novel use cases and emerging applications in industrial ecosystems and the public sectors. Alt-EDIC will also develop a common European infrastructure in language technology, so that the shortage of European languages data is addressed for the training of AI solutions. And CT-verse EDIC will apply state-to-the-art AI tools to develop and enhance logical digital twins for smart communities, so that cities will simulate and optimize their processes. So this was my presentation on SO2 policies and strategies. Thank you very much for attending. I will now stop sharing my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Eleni. And now, as I told when I introduced shortly the agenda, we will talk about a bit about the IT terminology, because if we wouldn't talk about it, it can be frightening because it's quite IT heavy program, this Digital Europe program, but hopefully it can be explained in a simpler way as well. And it's very important that, as I mentioned, the calls are not out of nowhere. So the main focus point, the main parts of the newly or renewed work program of Digital Europe program is also very, very important. So these two things, what is in the focus of David's presentation. So the word is yours.
Thank you very much, Janos. Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is David Mitrovic. I am a national contact for Digital Europe in Czech Republic. As Janos introduced me, we will touch upon the key IT terminology, as also mentioned. So let's begin by clarifying two essential IT concepts. Cloud computing is essentially about renting computer power and storage from remote servers, accessible via internet, instead of maintaining your own physical hardware. It's like streaming a movie instead of storing it locally on your device. And this model basically offers flexibility, easy scalability, and cost effectiveness. Edge computing, on the other hand, focuses on processing data very close to its source, such as in your smartphone or local servers, rather than sending data over long distances. This basically reduces delays, saves bandwidth, and is crucial for applications that require real-time responses like smart factories, autonomous driving, or medical equipment. One of the examples from the work program, which we will touch upon later, is simple cloud federation slash smart middleware. Now let's look at two terms increasingly central to EU's digital transformation. That is, firstly, generative AI or Gen AI, which refers to artificial intelligence systems that learn from vast amounts of existing data in order to produce some entirely new or original outputs, such as images, text, videos, etc. So of course, for example, ChatGPT for generating text or DALL-E for images. Next, we have data spaces. Data spaces are basically secure and structured platforms which enable safe data sharing among various organizations and sectors. Imagine a virtual library where organizations can confidently share their data while retaining some control and ensuring data privacy. These data spaces foster interoperability, for help with innovation and support advanced application across several industries. For example, the Data Space Support Center coordinates relevant actions on common European data spaces to ensure the before mentioned interoperability and coherent development. It basically identifies standards, helps with data governance models, and addresses some market barriers for this effective data sharing. Next, let's understand before mentioned high value data sets. I will be short here. They're basically critically important information resources that have substantial potential for innovation and economic benefits. They can be easily used for creating new digital services or improving existing ones. So European Union recognizes 6 categories of such high-value datasets: geospatial, Earth observation, environment, meteorological, statistics, and companies and mobility. the reuse of these data sets, such as mobility or geolocalization of buildings, can open business opportunities for logistics or transport sectors, as well as improve some efficiency of public service delivery. For example, understanding some traffic flows to make transportation more efficient, and the meteorological data, for example, radar data, air quality, can also support research and digital innovation to be better informed about the fight, or to fight better the climate change. Finally, we'll explore two cutting-edge concepts, that is virtual worlds and digital twins. Virtual worlds are basically interactive digital environments that simulate real-world activities and experiences. They're already transforming areas such as education, cultural heritage, professional training, by providing these safe but realistic at the same time scenarios through these innovative interaction methods. Digital Europe basically supports the creation of two sectoral test beds for virtual worlds. One is for industrial applications and one is for societal applications. They basically help with this testing of immersive and extended reality technologies. In parallel, we have digital twins, which are precise digital replicas of physical entities like buildings, engines, or even entire cities. And these replicas use real-time data and simulations, which allow for creating predictions, some performance monitoring, etc. They have vast applications ranging from before I mentioned smart cities, optimization of production lines, or predicting some maintenance in healthcare facilities. Next, we will, in the second part, explore Digital Europe program's key novelties and some strategic priorities from year 25 to 27. So basically, the program continues to build and expand upon initiatives that are already underway, such as common European data spaces. Also mentioned before by Eleni, the Destination Earth Digital Twin Initiative, and of course, European Digital Innovation Hubs, EDIHs, which do support many interested parties in relation to this specific objective. Moreover, the program also closely aligns with Europe's overreaching digital transformation strategy, in particular the EU Digital Compass and the Path to a Digital Decade, addresses new and emerging priorities, including reinforcing Europe's digital sovereignty, strengthening some cybersecurity capacities, and widespread information and development of Gen AI across strategic parts of our society. The DEP4 program also highlights several core focal areas where targeted investments will be made. Firstly, it will strengthen cloud-to-edge infrastructure through various platforms, enhancing interoperability, as I mentioned before, between different sectoral data spaces. Secondly, it prioritizes the market development, testing, and validation of Gen AI technologies, so to drive innovation in these strategic areas. Now listed thirdly, virtual worlds and digital twins. will be established in form of dedicated testbeds, and finally, substantial support will continue to flow into strengthening edicts, making the digital innovation and support accessible to more SMEs, mid-caps, and public institutions across the whole Europe. The DEP introduces major advances in cloud-to-edge infrastructure. So this simple initiative stands out, as it provides a European middleware platform that integrates cloud services, HPCs, high performance computers, edge computing resources, data spaces, and AI factories into some unified and interoperable environment. It is designed for secure and trusted data sharing. It can significantly benefit public services and SMEs by enhancing their access to cutting-edge digital capabilities. It also plays a major role in creation of common European data spaces, so data ecosystems where users in the same ecosystem share data in safe and secure manner. Additionally, the program strongly supports deploying cross-border telco edge nodes throughout Europe. This infrastructure is crucial for real-time critical services, especially in healthcare, manufacturing processes, smart city management, and these nodes prioritize robust security, interoperability, and sustainability, as well as some efficiency in terms of operational costs. Destination Earth remains one of the flagship projects of this DEP work program or DEP period. The initiative aims at developing a comprehensive and operational digital twin of Earth by 2030 in order to leverage Europe's advanced AI and high performance computing capabilities, combined with some extensive and precise Earth observation data. The applications of this digital twin are really wide, from precise climate change adaptations and resilience strategies, some enhanced renewable energy management and forecasting, to urban planning and some infrastructure management strategies. This initiative really contributes to EU's objective in environmental and sustainability areas. And as my colleague Leo will cover the indicative calls for 2025 in the following part, now let's just briefly highlight the calls planned for 2026 and 2027, so you have an idea. In 26, the program plans to expand data spaces in manufacturing and initiate pilots for AI-based medical image screening. Additionally, virtual worlds applications will be developed, covering both industrial and societal needs. In 2027, planned calls will include reference implementations for cloud-to-edge computing solutions, specialized data spaces for tourism and digital skills, and deployment of virtual human twins in healthcare, which is very, very interesting topic. Then we have multi-country projects, which will also be supported, focusing on connected and innovative public administrations. And for overview of more projects and interesting parts of the work program as well, but more for already established projects, I encourage you to explore Digital Europe program dashboard, which is also on the European Commission's website. Additionally, the Idealist project developed the topic tree, a helpful visualization tool, mapping past, open, and upcoming calls. And it gives very valuable context and insights into interconnection of different Digital Europe calls. So I strongly recommend using this very user-friendly tool to stay informed about these nuances and details that are often essential within creation of proposal, then further on a project. So this is everything from my side. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, David. Okay, you stopped sharing. So now we arrived from the, let's say, the most general things to the most concrete ones. And frankly speaking, this is one of the main reasons we organized this training today and not in September, although we are in the summer, because there are open calls where the submission date is in September. So I think it is the last time to talk about these so that we have time to work on this. So I hand over the word and the floor to Mr. Leonardo Tonetto to introduce the open calls which are related to this topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Janos. Thank you, David, and thank you, Eleni. As Janos introduced, I'm Leonardo. I'm a national contact point for Digital Europe here in Luxembourg. And what I will talk to you today is about the upcoming SO2 topics now in 2025. So you saw with Eleni a very nice introduction on the policies. The reason why we introduce policies, it's, let's say, twofold. One is for you as an applicant, obviously, it's interesting to know where things come from. Like why did the Commission choose to focus on one area or another, to know the current priorities. But the second, which is very nice too, that I will touch whenever I present any topic, is whenever you write a proposal, you also have to justify from your end why the solution that you're trying to propose is beneficial for Europe. And one clear way of doing that is obviously touching upon the policies that motivate your work, that bring, that basically give importance to your work, right? And with David, of course, you saw the introduction of the terms, the upcoming calls for 2026 and 27. And with me now here, you're going to listen to the topics coming up now in 2025. The document, so the cover page that I put here on the right side is the work program for these calls. So the AI calls, so AI 08 for 2025 on the Digital Europe program. This is the basis of everything that I'm going to present, right? So for you as an applicant, you need to read this document from one end to the other, obviously focusing on maybe on the topics that you're interested in, but everything you want to know about the open topics is written there. Of course, you can find this information also on the funding and tenders. There are maybe other websites that summarize and put it in other words, but let's say the groundwork for anything in terms of eligibility and everything else you need to know are all written in this document. So please have a read when you receive the slides. What I have here on the screen is a link, so you can also find the PDF for that. I will talk to you about these 5 topics that are coming up now in 2025. I will go into each one of them in details, but we're going to have 2 support and coordination and support actions, 1 simple topic, 1 grant for procurement, and 1 FSTP topic. So it's also a very good intro on the types of actions that Digital Europe is implementing. I will go into details of which one, what means each one of those, but it's fundamentally the funding rate and how we're actually going to implement all of those. All deadlines are on the 2nd of September 2025, 5 p.m., as you already probably know. The way of submitting these is through the funding and tenders portal that we're not going to cover here today. This has been covered in previous trainings, and each one of these topics have a different budget that I will go again into details for each one of them. And here is an indicative possible number of projects the Commission expects to fund. And for each one of these, I'm also flagging here, just for you to have in the summary, 2 very important articles that apply to each of these topics that limit either the participation of the entities in the consortium or certain, let's say, technology providers to these. These are the articles 12.5 and 12.6. But again, I'll bring those up when the right time comes. So for the first topic, the AI-F08 processors. This is a support, so coordination and support action. What this means is different from, let's say, if you're coming from Horizon Europe, you already know this too. We've already seen that. If you've seen the previous trainings, this is a type of action that you're not developing a technology, but you're supporting the European Commission in sort of fostering the ecosystem in a certain area. In this case, for the development of microprocessors in Europe, right? So it's to support the Secretariat for the Alliance on Processors and Semiconductor Technologies. Going back to on the right side, this being a CSA, so this being a coordination and support action, the funding rate is 100%. So for all members in the consortium, they will be funded at 100%. The duration and the indicative duration for this project is 36 months for a budget of 1 million euros. I think they're expecting to fund one proposal only. And the types of stakeholders are those that are already involved deeply in the in the ecosystem of processors and semiconductors value chain in Europe, and representatives of eligible alliance stakeholders. So say you're already in a way involved in microprocessor development, either from research side or from industry side. The Article 12.6 applies here. I will mention it here once, and I will repeat this, I think, for most of the other topics. 12.6 limits the suppliers of technologies to these topics to a limited number. Sorry, not a limited number, but it excludes a certain set of providers that are not, say, European. You can find the list, the detailed list in the annexes of the work program. I won't go into details what are the companies being excluded here, but this essentially limits to some companies. Of course, it includes all organizations from Europe, but it excludes some that are not based in Europe. The objectives of the call are to gather stakeholders to strengthen your capacities in advanced processors and other electronic components, identify gaps in production and development of microchips. So as you can see, it's to sort of foster and create an environment for the microprocessor industry in Europe. Here are a few keywords for you to kind of think about them, and the policies that influence this topic, again, for you to read and have it in mind if you decide to apply for this, that they are very important, again, not just for the motivation behind the topic, but also when you write and you justify why you would want to take part in this. The expected outcomes for this topic are to develop and promote roadmaps for the Alliance objectives, identify end user needs, creation and maintenance of the Alliance website, organize annual assembly and forum with the help, of course, of the European Commission and the CHIPS too, and support of skilling and reskilling. I listed here also 2 previous topics that are related to this. So again, in case you want to be involved in this, knowing about these past topics, it's very important for a number of reasons. Again, inside the proposal, you might mention it to say, of course, the evaluators want to see some sort of continuity, that what is being developed is building upon things that already exist. But also, in case you want to search for consortium members, right? Like looking at previously funded projects is a great way to go about doing this. And the KPIs that the topic expects are basically engagement, right? So this being a support action, so something that you're going to be supporting a certain ecosystem, is that you're also engaging the ecosystem in the microprocessor ecosystem in Europe, and of course, number of member states covered. Right. For you to read more about it, you can also check the CHIPS.ju website, where more content about the current efforts with the Alliance are better described. And next, on the AI08 data space support, you saw already with David what the data spaces roughly are. So he already gave a very good initial explanation on what the data spaces are. Again, this is a CSA, so coordination and support action, funded at 100%, with a suggested duration of 36 months, a budget of 10 million euros, and here a restriction that the new, say, the consortium that will continue the efforts of the Data Space Support Center should have at least 3 organizations, but I think nowadays they're made up of many more than that. And the again, Article 12.6 applies, so limiting the technology suppliers, or let's say excluding a certain number of suppliers that you can read about them on the annexes. The objectives are essentially continue what the Data Space Support Center has been doing, right? So ensure the continuation. And what the Data Space Support Center does, to put it very simply, is making sure that that very long list of data spaces that are currently being implemented in Europe, funded by the European Commission, they are coherent, right? That they're, let's say, that they speak the same language, essentially. Here are a number of policies that you saw at the beginning with Eleni, and you can look at the previous topic, right? That from 2021, that funded the initial iteration of the Data Space Support Center. Stakeholders for this, so the typical members of the consortium that are expected, are entities active in data spaces, organizations on expert on data sharing, and associations, NGO, academia with extensive expertise on data spaces. I won't go again through this slide, because you saw it with David. But basically, the introduction of what data spaces are from the European Commission perspective. That is this ecosystem where data owners can provide access, or say gain value from their data through safe sharing, and that let's say end users or data users can make use of that through a safe and secure way. And this is a list of again the data spaces that are currently being implemented. So from phase 1, those that have been mentioned previously, so agriculture, finance, Green Deal, industry, manufacturing, mobility, skills, and tourism. And now in phase 2, we have a number of them that are currently ongoing, that you can see the list on the website, plus all the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium, so all the EDICs that are ideally building upon these data spaces. And here's the timeline. So essentially, for you to know what are the current data spaces that are there, that the Data Space Support Center should basically coordinate all of this, right? So, but of course, each one of them has in their mandate to, in a way, work in collaboration with others and with the EDICs. But the DCSS, DSSC is there to make this this whole ecosystem speak the same language, essentially. Next, the compliance topic. So this is I think it's the only simple topic, simple as in the type of implementation. Again, Article 12.6 applies, limiting the technology suppliers of this topic. And for a simple action, what it means is it's funded at 50%, right, for you to deploy a technology. So if you're familiar with Horizon Europe typically funds innovation actions at 70%, research innovation actions at 100%, because those are closer to research. So you're developing a technology that's still not yet there, so at a lower maturity level. But as Digital Europe is a deployment funding program, right? The starting point, the starting TRL, the starting maturity of the technologies has to be much higher. Therefore, the funding rate is a bit lower, right? It's at 50% for most organizations and 75% for SMEs. The duration of the projects funded here is suggested at 24 months. The total budget for the topic of 8 million euros, and an expected or a suggested budget per funded project to be between 2 and 8 million euros. Of course, you have to justify when you build your consortium what you're going to use, what you're going to do, what your budget is. Again, with a restriction of a minimum of three organizations per consortium. The objectives are to deploy solutions for transmitting information relevant for compliance with EU legislation, automate compliance process for several pilot cases. And the topic mentions a few examples. For example, so compliance for agriculture, manufacturing, healthcare, and energy. And a policy that is very, very relevant here, obviously, you can imagine, is the AI Act and Data Governance Act that you've seen before. Even though it's data for compliance, they also want to see an aspect of AI in all of this. Of course, since you're going to be dealing with documents that could be sensitive, the AI Act is extremely important. The types of stakeholders for this type of project. Again, if you're coming from Horizon, you'll see, you've heard before, you've seen this, that Digital Europe has like a very strong, say, public administration, government foothold. You saw it with the presentation from David on the digital compass. One of the arrows of the compass is government. So they want to see public administrations developing tech for regulatory compliance, organizations concerned by the application of a specific regulation, and organizations with extensive expertise on digital and data technologies. This is one at the bottom here, bottom right, is a related topic that you can see, topic funded from last year. That was again on compliance. You can have a look, see who's working on those on the funded topics, on the funded project. Sorry, that two things here again important. One is trying to build some form of synergies and continuity. So look through what they have been doing, what they're promising. And then another is obviously project partners, right? So look through people that have already been funded. That's a way to a good start in looking for new partners. And this is just like an illustrative example on the kind of problem that the European Commission wants to see solved with the illustrative case here. That is, you have say compliance that needs to be done due to some regulations in different fields, for example, industry, agri-food, and SMEs. That all of this goes to public offices and public administrations to take care of. That right now require a lot of human intervention, right? From collecting data, elaborating the data, curating the data, preparing reports, and submitting reports. What they want to see is basically the automation of like an entire stream of these, potentially several in the project. Moving on to the next, yet another type of action. So for the agri-food, this being a multi-country project in agri-food, this is an FSTP, or a financial support to third parties, or you might have heard this in other terms, being a cascading fund topic. This is funded at 100% for the consortium and at 50% for the cascading funds. Very briefly, what cascading fund means is, unlike, for example, a simple project where all the consortium members are there from the start, right, from the deployers, data suppliers, and I would say pilot and use cases members. In an FSTP type of project, in a cascading fund type of project, you would typically include in your consortium those sort of developing and deploying the technology frameworks at the initial consortium. And then you will redistribute money that you received from the European Commission to in new open tenders, in new open calls. You will do the selection, you will take care of that. And in these newly selected consortium members, let's say, they will be the ones responsible for running pilots, for example, to test the technology that you have been using. And that money that you redistribute, that is funded at 50%. Again, for more details on this, please reach out to your national contact points. We can answer questions and discuss with you exactly how this is done. But just to give you an idea on how this how this would look like. The indicative duration is 48 months. The budget for the entire topic is 15 million euros. Ideally, as this is will deal with data spaces and so on, they would want to see the EDIC, so the European Digital Infrastructure Consortium on agriculture involved here. But let's say we have seen such topics where the EDIC was supposed to be there, that the EDIC was not funded. So the proposal with the EDIC was not funded, right? So ideally, you should include them. You should look for the people responsible for the EDIC in agriculture and try to include them in your consortium. And again, how to get there, how to involve them, talk to your national contact point. We can mediate these discussions, right? On the objectives is to support the agri-food sector through data infrastructure to enhance efficiency, sustainability, and competitiveness. Foster access, sharing, reuse of agri-food data. And it has this FSTP, so financial support to third parties or cascading fund. That is to develop, so the development of cross-border use cases on agri-food and data sharing, right? It has to be, these use cases have to be implemented across several European Union member states. And they foster the use of advanced tech like artificial intelligence. Here are a couple of policies and stakeholders that are expected to be part of the consortium. Once again, the EDIC on agriculture. But since this involves the artificial intelligence, those, for example, maybe from the so the other EDICs could also be involved. Public administration offices, private actors in agri-food appointed by government as representing the country. How to be this appointed organization? Again, talk to your national contact point. I won't be able to answer the specific questions for specific countries because each country has their own, let's say, the process for doing this. But typically, you're going to go through a ministry where the ministry will kind of accredit you. And in many countries, they don't do this just for a single organization. They will do this for 2 or 3, to not have just one being one of them representing the country. But again, talk to your national contact point. They will be able to advise you correctly on how to proceed with this. But organizations from the private sector that want to be part of this effort will have to be nominated essentially by their respective country to be the ones representing that country. This is a list of past projects. It again will be super interesting for you to have a look and read, to build upon, look for consortium members. This is really, really valuable for you to know. The expected outcomes is to set up of digital infrastructure for the agri-food ecosystem, implementation of a multi-country and EU level with sustainable structures for its maintenance and further development, capacity building, information exchange, the build or the deployment of an information exchange platform for the agri-food sector, assessment of ongoing initiatives and coordination roadmap. So this being a larger project, right, 15 million euros, they want to see not just the development of a technology, but this let's say sort of flavor of coordination between different member states and how they would implement the things that are tested here in the future. Recommendations for the development, operation, and maintenance elements to roll out the project towards countries not involved in the project. Yeah, this is what I just highlighted, that of course the project will involve a certain number of countries at the start, but what the project needs absolutely through its development course is a clear roadmap on how the countries that are not involved in the project, how they are going to have it sort of implemented and deployed later on. Use case portfolio and use case evaluation reports, and policy recommendations, right? So of course, this being something for the agri-food sector, involving governments and so on. The project needs to at the end make solid recommendations for policies and things that could be done in the future that would then influence yet again either laws or more funding in certain directions, right? Just details on the FSTP, on the cascading fund. Again, you will read this in more detail in the call document, that the Commission expects somewhere between 55 and 60% of the budget reserved to this cascading fund. That is, out of those 15 million euros, somewhere between 55 and 65% need to be allocated to this redistribution. And the envelope that you will give per funded project given in this cascading fund has to range between 60,000 and €500,000. And next, I think this is the last one, is the supply AI topic. That is generative AI for the public administration. This is a grant for procurement. So yet another one, so not simple, not coordination and support action, not FSTP. This is a grant for procurement. So what you're going to write is an actual procurement that is funded at 50%. The total budget for the topic is 21 million, and the Commission is expecting to fund each project somewhere between 5 and 7 million euros. And there is a limit, so a requirement that at least 3 organizations need to be part of this, of the funded projects. The objectives are to accelerate trustworthy EU GenAI for public administration. That is, think about a public office that deals especially with service to citizens, and how they could benefit from having GenAI in either streamlining processes and workflows, or either directly to the clients, so directly to the citizens, or for their internal processes. So to streamline processes and personalize services, improve decision-making and simplifying procedures, right? So that's the key element here. The stakeholders are obviously public administration of all levels, right? From regional to national to regional to from local to national to regional, yes, levels. But also RTOs, universities, system integrators, NGOs, and civil society, right? That can also be part here, of course, because they will be the public offices will be the one deploying and testing these technologies that need to be deployed to solve a problem in on their offices. But obviously, they don't have to be the ones developing the technology. They don't have to be the ones providing the solutions to these problems, right? These could also be obviously any kind of consortium member. The expected outcomes are a fully deployed and integrated GenAI in public administration workflows, documentation to replicate in other European Union administrations. So that is, of course, you're going to have, so similar to the previous topic, right? You're going to have certain public offices where this is going to be deployed, that are going to be part of the original consortium. This has to be documented in a way that other similar or somewhat similar public administrations could make use of that technology to also simplify what they're doing. So you need to be careful here. So if you can imagine, when writing the proposal, that the use case or whatever you're proposing as a solution needs to be something that is, let's say, generic enough, or let's say it could be later on applied to other public offices, right? That the ones you select to include in the consortium are good and solid, that you're solving a real problem, but that are problems that also exist elsewhere, right? That whatever you're doing in the project, of course, solves an issue, but later on, that the Commission can see, yes, once this is done, once it's deployed and tested, we can replicate this in other member states. GenAI for EU community to foster collaboration. So there's this effort by the European Commission, GenAI for EU, that I think touches a series of topics also inside Horizon Europe, that this topic, or the consortium here, has to try to build synergies with capacity building for the public sector staff. Obviously, you're deploying this, so you need to train the people in how they're going to do this, and how they're going to use all of the stuff. And insights for policymaking, right? that and standard Gen AI practices. So of course you're learning, you're going to learn how to do this for a public administration office. That is something that may have its particular problems and issues. So building this and bringing this as very insightful reports to policymakers that then can shape up again the future of such funding programs is a must. Here are two fast funded projects. One of them actually from Horizon Europe, from Cluster 4, that was in line around in the same direction, right? So AI solutions for public administration, and a topic from last year on foundational models for AI. The duration of the projects here, I forgot to mention, is between, so the suggested is 36 to 48 months. A budget of, no, I mentioned it before. No, sorry, yeah, 21 million, 5 to 7 million per project, and a minimum of 3 organizations. At least 50% of the funds collected here are supposed to be used in the procurement, and the solutions must be based on fine-tuned European foundational models. So when you use an AI model, you need to look for foundational models developed in Europe, right? So you're going to fine-tune those. The Commission does not want a foundational model built from scratch with this topic. That's very clear. So what you need to do is, let's say, fine-tune or modify an existing foundational model created in Europe, right? And integration with existing platforms, systems, and workflows. That's the, let's say, the end goal of the whole procurement that needs to be written for this topic. And with that, I conclude this not so deep, I would say shallow dive into the topics, but I think it gives you an idea at least of what's coming up. And if you want to know more, again, one more time, reach out to your national contact point. They can help you understand better the topics, find partners, and everything else. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Leo. So all I can say is on the slide. So should you have any questions now, please speak up or raise your hand, or we checked the chat, but we couldn't find any questions so far. If you don't have questions, then it's not a sin if we are shorter today than planned, so no problem, as it is already summer. Questions? Okay, where can we find links to docs? This is the question in chat, so we will send it. This will be also incorporated in the follow-up letter. So we will send you all the links. Any other questions? I see to my colleague, she says no for the time being. So thank you very much for your presence, for your attention. And although I think it was a bit shockingly too much information in summer, but still maybe you found it interesting and very useful. So another question. What level public administrations are best included? Leo?
I would national. Say, right. No, I would say there is no, I mean, based at least on the topic text. I mean, I think it's part of the exercise. There is no best. I think I know the answer is going to be a bit not exactly to the point, but it is up to you when you justify in the proposal that the administration that you're including, let's say, solves a generalizable or like a general enough problem. So if your local or regional public office has an issue that you think and you see many other offices throughout Europe are also facing, that's totally justifiable. The same goes for national. I think national is kind of a bit easier to see that it applies almost anywhere else. But in the case here, there is no. I would not say there is a better. Of course, you need capacity. Where are you going to do this? I mean, just thinking that either size, you may be better equipped with people able to say run this type of exercise. And I think that's going to matter a lot more than whether it's local, regional, or national.
Okay, thank you very much. Another question: any contests for health or B+R?
There is one topic now on cybersecurity, right? That is on supporting, and I think we're going to cover maybe that in another training, but there is one open topic now under the CCC topics that is for preparedness for health, like hospitals, basically. But then it's very specific. So it's not touching health in the sense of, say, technology for medical doctors, but rather cybersecurity. Yeah, so to be decided on SO3. That one, there was one topic there. And BNR, I'm not sure what BNR means.
Okay, thank you. Another question: we will be working on project writing or check our proposals during the black belt session, right? That's right. So the black belt session, which is planned in September, it is about the, let's say, the detailed process and the project writing and the project management sections of the whole process. Can we see the regulations? Where can we see the regulations? What regulations is all the policies and all the strategies what Eleni mentioned. I can imagine that the question is about these. We send you the links as well. So all the links which was touched or mentioned in the presentation will be sent in the follow-up letters.
Right. I think also maybe what they meant is the like regulations for the application, let's say rules of Digital Europe. There are, I think, two main documents for that. One is the work program. There you will see like eligibility, who can be and whatnot. Then another document is the annotated grant agreement for say the contract that you would sign if you eventually get funded. There you can already kind of see several rules that apply when you actually get funded. For example, if you want to, if you have questions about the cost categorization and how are you going to do certain things, those are not defined in the work program, but those are listed and kind of commented in the annotated grant agreement.
Okay, another question, maybe you can see in Q&A below as well. It's regarding a Gen AI for public administration proposal and regarding co-financing. So if we submit a proposal with a budget of 5 million euro, would this mean that the resulting project for public administration of this proposal should be of at least 2.5 million euro plus 50% co-funding, or the resulting project should be of at least 5 million euro plus 50% co-funding?
It is the second, it's 5 plus 5.
Okay, thank you. Is the black belt training free? Yes, all the trainings, all the DEP4ALL trainings are free. We just require registration. And do participants get a certification of any kind? We are thinking about it, so it's not sure yet. So it's not a so-called, let's say, certified project writing training. We just organize it in the name of the DEP4ALL project. But we will try our best to create some kind of certification of your presence. But we don't have a certified exam, for example, at the end of the session. So in this sense and essence, this point of view, it's not a certified training, but some kind of certification we would like to issue. Are the links to the open calls mentioned today? Yes, of course, there are links, and you can find them in the Funding and Tenders portal, but we will also incorporate the links in the follow-up presentation as well. are there DEP experts available to talk to who might help with process from a formal legal perspective? This is what we mentioned, that all the countries have national contact points of Digital Europe program, and the national contact points are, let's say, trained to answer your questions, or if there are some uncertainties regarding the answer, they can contact the EU directly. So we definitely propose you to contact your national contact point in your country. Please confirm that 5+5 is correct. Leo, what you mentioned, the AI office has not responded to this question yet.
Yeah, but I mean, the AI office will not respond to this kind of question. There is also through the funding and tenders, if you go to the topic, there you can ask questions. And one thing that we're also always advised is if you have any questions about the topics, use the form for questions in the funding and tender. So do not email a project officer, even if you know them, you have their email, you met them in an event. Because if you email them directly, they might not answer, or they might most likely will not answer to your questions. But if you send a question through the funding and tenders, they have, let's say, kind of internal KPIs where they need to answer your question within a certain time frame. Obviously, that's, I would say, I mean, I don't know exactly what that is, but I would say maybe 30, 45 days. So they need to eventually answer you. So if you would write an email directly to someone or to some functional email, that is very likely never going to be answered.
Okay, and one of the last questions, how can we find the national contact points? Is there any link we can find names? So I can talk in, let's say, in the name of myself. So we promote ourselves in Hungary. So hopefully most of, let's say, the ecosystem know us and can find us. But if it's not the case in all the countries, we will check the opportunity how to, let's say, provide you with names. I'm not sure we can provide a full list of names of national contact points.
Yes, you can also find, again, all the, so the list for all the national contact points, so all the people that have been appointed in all countries on the funding and tenders portal.
Yeah.
So it's all there.
Okay, so everything what was mentioned and we have a link to, we will provide you with links in the follow-up letters. Okay, if there are no more questions, then thank you very much for your presence and for your attention and for your questions as well. What I would like to say now is just draw your attention to our sessions which are coming up next. We will have a concrete one on July 15th, which is about another specific objective of Digital Europe program. It's specific objective number 5, deployment and best use of technologies. It is also the case that we have open calls regarding this topic as well. So we will encourage you to register and take part in this as well. We are also planning a cybersecurity session, but the date is to be decided because in the summer it's not easy to organize such a training. And as mentioned, we will have that proposal writing and project management training. It will be decided, but it will be in September. It definitely will be in September because we will see it. We already see it that the experts can be organized for September for this training. So there's another question. I open the Q&A. Leo, it's for you. In the agri-food call, what does mean private actors in agri-food appointed by government as representing the country? Could you clarify it?
Yes. So I hinted there during the presentation. So you will be appointed by some ministry. Again, the process varies from country to country, so that's why it's kind of difficult for me to give an absolute concrete answer. But essentially, private organization. So this is not, let's say, your typical consortium where you put your name and then you, let's say, you're a member. What the Commission will want to see at the moment of application is a letter of support. I forgot how it's named now. Sorry for that. we'll get back to you in writing later, but basically it's a letter where and this is part of the attachments that you're going to add to the application, where a local organization, so like a local public office, usually a ministry, will endorse your application as, okay, this organization is going to be there, part of the consortium for this agri-food topic, and it's there to represent our country XYZ. So that's essentially what it is. Again, but then how exactly you apply for this, how exactly this goes, it varies from country to country. And for that, again, I strongly suggest you reach out to your national contact point. They will be able to tell you exactly what the procedure is. But if you understood, is a document from your government endorsing you, if you're from a private organization, that you are kind of representing that country. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. So if there are no more questions, then just 3 short messages, what was already mentioned. So stay tuned for the remaining and coming up sessions, what mentioned here. The second one is reach out to your national contact points. As Leo mentioned, the list of the national contact points, the officially appointed contact points are on the funding and tenders portal. And the third one, that as promised, we will set up a follow-up package for you with all the questions and answers, all the presentations, and the recording, the links to the recordings as well. So thank you very much for your participation, and we are wishing you a very good summer. And we hope to see each other on our coming up sessions in summer and in September. So thank you very much. Bye.